So look, I appreciate that walking movies has kind of like died a death of sorts. And that's on me because I've not been seeing a lot of more recent releases. I've been seeing some re-releases at the cinema. I saw Top Gun Maverick in 4DX again last week. That was a treat. I have seen some of the newer releases, but there are some films that I just didn't get a chance to see for various reasons, whether that was through sickness or just being busy at the time. And so the reviews have kind of like died off. I'm not planning to not do any more. It's just that's the explanation as to, where those have kind of gone. But in less than 24 hours, the world will be experiencing Tron again. Tron Ares is coming out. Now, a few months ago, I did do a reaction to the trailer that came out, the first trailer. I'm not so sure how many trailers have come out. I think I've seen two at the cinema. The first one and, one that was probably out about a month or two ago. And it's a really weird feeling because people that know me personally and people that just follow me, whether it's on podcasts or walking movies or anything, knows that I love Tron. I am unashamedly a Tron fan. Even though I know the films aren't great, I love them. Not every film you have to love has to be a masterpiece, right? But to me, Tron Legacy especially is like they're so visually stunning and appealing. I love the whole aesthetic of Tron. That was the thing that when I was a kid, and I must have been about 4, and seeing it on TV, the first Tron for the first time, I was blown away because I'd never seen anything like it. People hadn't seen anything like it. It was a very unique film at the time. And the only thing that really looks like Tron ever since 1982 was Tron Legacy, really. No one was crazy enough to kind of like do that kind of design aesthetic. But I am a massive fan of Tron. And I was very disappointed when Tron 3 was delayed after Tron Legacy because, and this was a stupid comment from Disney, admittedly, but, their expectations for Tron Legacy, which came out in 2010, was for it to do the kind of numbers that Avatar had done the year before. Avatar was a complete anomaly. And it wouldn't be too long before Disney actually, went into partnership with James Cameron to build an Avatar land, and then, a few more years after that, ended up buying Fox, who owned Avatar, or with a studio that had the rights to Avatar. More to the point, and Tron Legacy was never going to be that film. Tron itself was not a box office hit, and Tron Legacy did well, but didn't do Avatar numbers. Off the top of my head, I think it passed about $450 million at the global box office, which is not tiny, but, Avatar did over $1 billion, and it certainly did better than the first Tron, but it didn't set the world alight in that way. And they'd put out a cartoon because they thought it was going to be a hit, and they kind of like shuffled the cartoon into like late night slots on the Disney Channel because it was aimed at adults. And it was very weird, again, because they didn't have cartoons for adults. It wasn't like Adult Swim or anything like that. So, that cartoon died a death, and so the film got put on hold. And then when they were going to do Tron 3, and if you don't know this, I'm going to tell you, Tron 3 was literally going to start production in 2015, I want to say. It was something stupid like 3 or 6 weeks away from production starting on Tron 3 when Tomorrowland came out. Brad Bird's Tomorrowland, which was a massive flop for Disney. And when that flopped, the Monday after it had opened, they cancelled Tron 3. And that was it. It was all gone. And I didn't think we would see another sequel to Tron. I thought it was possible that at one time in the future we might see a reboot or something, but I didn't think we would see another sequel. And then a couple of years after that, they announced the new Shanghai Disney park that they were going to be building a Tron light cycle attraction, which was just bizarre to me. And I mean, as excited as I was that we were finally going to get a Tron roller coaster based around light cycles, I was also going, who's that for? Who is this for? Clearly Disney don't have enough faith in the Tron franchise, and it always seemed to be a niche audience that liked Tron. You know, Tron never had the fan base of like Star Wars or Star Trek or Avatar for that matter, you know. And I was grateful we were getting it, but I just didn't know why. And then after that ride became a hit, they announced it was coming to Walt Disney World. Again, great, but I'm sat there thinking, like, why are we doing this if there's not something else to support it? Because when you try and put IPs into theme parks especially, it's because you want to, you know, cross-promote, or you want... you got a large fan base that wants to go and experience that. That's why Avatar was such a big hit for Animal Kingdom, because people loved the Avatar movies and it gave them a chance to kind of like step into that world, right? But why are we doing that for Tron if there's nothing else going on? I just couldn't figure it out. And then over the years, there were rumblings that there was going to be another Tron film. And Jared Leto seemed to be attached to this product the whole time. And I'm not a fan of Jared Leto. As an actor, he's okay. But I was never like a fan of his music. And the things that I'd heard and read about him also led to me not being much of a fan. I didn't think he was a particularly decent guy by all accounts. Lot of, you know, accusations and rumours that have been put out into various publications, which soured me. But also on top of that, every time that he's been given like a lead role in something, it's not really done anything. So, you know, he was the Joker in Suicide Squad, like the first Suicide Squad film, not the Suicide Squad, with a performance which was interesting. I think it's fair to say. And then he was he had a fairly big part in the Haunted Mansion film that came out a few years ago, which flopped and didn't deserve to. But again, you know, he was attached, and I wasn't sure about, you know, how that might have affected things. I don't know. Regardless, his name kept being thrown about, and people would send me messages saying, "Oh, have you heard there's going to be a new Tron film?" I'm like, look, I've been here before. I am not going to get excited about a new Tron film until it's literally coming out in theatres or the cinema in the UK. And, you know, I'd be sent things, and it would be, you know, people that have been associated talking about the project, or it'd be Jared Leto saying, "Oh yeah, I've read a script, really want to do this film," whatever. But until it was, you know, really greenlit and was about to go in production, I wasn't getting too excited about it. But even when that happened, I still wasn't getting excited about it. Even, you know, before trailer dropped, I was still like, look, you know, once a trailer's dropped, then I know that it's a real thing. I know you're telling me it's in production, but there are films which, you know, almost get made or have finished filming and just don't come out. I'm not just talking about the Warner Brothers films that they wrote for tax purposes. I'm talking about things like, oh God, I've forgotten the title of it now, but there was a Pharrell Williams biopic that was coming out. Michel Gondry directed it. It finished. It was in post-production, and they scrapped it. Pharrell, Michel Gondry, and Universal got together and went, you know what? We're just scrapping the film. It was complete. It just needed to be edited. And they were like, we'll just pretend this never happened, right? So again, I'm not getting excited until Tron is coming out. I hear Nine Inch Nails are doing the soundtrack. Okay, I'm not really, I've never really listened to much Nine Inch Nails. That's being completely transparent. I've heard a lot of Trent Reznor's scores, but actual Nine Inch Nails, it was never a band that I tried to get into. No particular reason, I just didn't. And it was no Daft Punk, but if Daft Punk aren't around, gotta find someone new, right? So, that was announced. I'm seeing the trailers and I'm like, okay, right, but let's just wait till it comes out. And here we are. The day before it's coming out. Apparently today Hasbro are going to be announcing some toys. That I'm very excited for because I've always loved Tron toys and I'm always happy for more Tron toys. But, now it's starting to feel real. And I bought my tickets a couple of weeks back. I'm going tomorrow night. I'm going to see it in IMAX 3D. And unfortunately, it's my local IMAX. So it's, what they refer to as a Limax screen. It's not the full, big screen that an IMAX traditionally would be. But it's in, the more modern interpretation of IMAX. It's still very good. And it's going to be visually and sound-wise a quality screening of the film. But, it's not the BFI way I saw Tron Legacy with a proper IMAX screen. So, I'm excited, but, I'm still apprehensive because I like what I've seen in the trailers. I like what I've heard from some of the cast that have been doing, the rounds, as it were. The world premiere took place a few days ago, which means that people could start talking about the film. And I've tried to remain free of spoilers, and I've also not read any review of the film fully. I've not listened to any review of the film fully. I've just seen bits and pieces. I'm interested in what people are saying overall without getting into the weeds of it, right? So, the reviews that I've seen so far give me a bit of hope, if I'm honest, because the reviews aren't great, but they sound very similar to the kind of reviews that Tron Legacy was getting. And I love that film. So, it's almost in a way reassured me, maybe this isn't going to be too bad. Maybe this will be what I want it to be. So, I'm cautiously optimistic. I am going into this, even though I seem excited just talking about it, but I am going into this with lowered expectations because of the things that I've mentioned, and the reasons for having a bit of apprehension about it. And also my biggest gripe, and I didn't even know this until I saw a post on the London Underground last week of Ares, the character played by Jared Leto. Big post on the wall of him riding a light cycle, holding his disc. Except it wasn't a disc. It was a triangular shaped object, not a disc. Because the disc is round, right? I think we can all agree that if we're talking about a disc is a circular object. This was a triangle. This reminded me of those old boomerangs you used to get where you threw it at the right angle and it came back like a boomerang. But it wasn't a boomerang, it was a frisbee of a weird shape. Anyway, all this to say that I want to enjoy this film. I hope I enjoy this film. I'll be doing a review of this film, whether I like it or not. But my expectations are, here rather than up here. And I think that's a good place to be, because I think sometimes you can get too excited for something. I am looking forward to going back into the world of Tron. I am excited to see, the light cycles and the neon and, all of that fun stuff you get with Tron. I'm just hoping it's good and not terrible. And if they do that, I'll be happy. I would also like this film to do well, regardless of my enjoyment of it, because I don't want to wait another 10, 15, 25 years for another Tron or a reboot of Tron. So I hope whatever we get in this film does give me, you know, the want for more, but also that it does well enough that Disney want to invest more into it. Because I still think that the look of Tron especially is something unique, and I think that you can do a lot of good stuff with it. I don't think it's always been done in the best way. And what I mean is, you know, for a lot of people, when they talk about Tron, it's like, well, it doesn't really make much sense. I don't really understand the story. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But look at the visuals. You know, it's beautiful. So, you know, these films are not supposed to be Shakespeare plays. They're not supposed to be, you know, full of like great stories. But if they can find a middle ground and make it kind of more accessible, I guess, to the wider public, that'd be great. But I just think that the franchise deserves better, and I hope that we get with this film something that we can all enjoy, and hopefully will make Tron popular again to an extent. So yeah, I just thought I'd put a video out here. I wasn't expecting it to be this long, but you know, when you are all HD and you're talking about something that you are passionate about, sometimes you you yourself get stuck in the weeds. So thank you for sticking with this if you've watched it all the way to the end, and you know, thank you for everyone that watches my videos. I do appreciate you. So thank you for that, and let's fight for the users and hope that indeed tomorrow Flynn lives.